Welcome from downtown Mulberry. It's Let's Talk Shop with Russ. Hope that turned out right. I tried it. So, yeah, we're here tonight having a good time. Our guest this evening is Michael Morley from Deacon Woodworks. So we're going into his shop tonight and try to get in some trouble. I think he's got some real good things for us to see and talk about. I actually know what he's going to talk about, but I don't want to spoil y'all just yet. So, but I appreciate everybody being here. Let me try to get my other computer on over here, and we're going to try this again. What I actually had to do, because every time I have tried to mute that computer over there to see where I can see the chat section, the volume comes on. Even if I mute the volume and mute it on YouTube, it still comes back on. So I was smart today. I went in and disabled the speakers totally. So guess what? It worked. So I ain't got to worry about that anymore. So looking for a good show. Go to the announcements first. First is everybody don't forget that sometime during the show, just like last show, this prize is coming from Simply Wooden Creations from me, but we're going to do the keyword. So the keyword will be announced, and you'll be told where to send an email. And we're going for the prize tonight, a 4-volt rechargeable screwdriver with circuit sensing technology. And when I first said that, I was like, what the heck is circuit sensing technology? Apparently this thing is designed so that if you get near electrical, it will like beep or alarm and let you know, light up or whatever, and let you know that you're in danger, Will Robinson. So that's what I'm giving away tonight. So sometime during the show, I'll let y'all know the keyword and what to do. So that's part of it. Looking over here at my notes, guys, I've gotten old to the point that I've got to have notes, or I'm not any good anymore. So if I don't have my notes, so the next thing I want to bring out is, and we'll go ahead and let y'all introduce yourself at this point, is Shane and Shelly. Don't y'all still have the Mother's Day contest going on?
Yes, we do. Thank you, Russ. Yeah, this is the Mother's Day contest 2016. You still have 2 more days to enter into the contest. Now, you can go to my Facebook page, which is Shane's Hobby Shop, and then the very first post is going to be all the rules and also all the prizes I'll be giving away. Just read the rules, email me the link to your video, and then I can add you to the list. Still got 2 more days to get into it. Good luck, everybody.
2 more days, and y'all will be in the contest. So that's great, great. And where can we find y'all, by the way? Go ahead and tell us where we can find you.
Okay, thank you. Again, my name is Shane. I'm with Shane's Hobby Shop. You can find me on all the social media, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all of that.
Hi, everyone. Mom here from Know What Mom Knows. And I'd like y'all to stop on by. I've got some videos up and some future ones coming up here shortly. Going to be doing some soap making in the near future. And so it's not woodworking, but it's soap making, and it's an artisan thing that you're going to want to see and check out. It's really fun and interesting. I do woodworking too.
I wasn't laughing at you, Shelly. I've got the YouTube over here. Katie Dotson put on there, I don't need no fancy screwdriver. If your eyes light up and your hair goes curly, you got close to a hot wire. Yeah, Katie, you're right. Oh, man, that about cracked me up. All right, so anyway, all right. So one thing before I let everybody else introduce yourself, I got to go over and talk about my sponsors. I have 2 sponsors, Devobal Technologies. They're the guys that do my web page. Awesome guys to work with. I absolutely love my web page. If anybody's seen my web page before and sees it now, you'll like, wow. So really awesome. Go by and check it out, simplywoodencreations.com. And there is Devobal Technologies at Devobal Technologies, or Devobal, sorry about that, Devobal.com for web design, development, and hosting. So go check them out. and also Olive Wood 2000. For a beautiful, elegant Holy Land olive wood, go check out Olive Wood 2000 on eBay. So now that we got that over with, let's go down the list and have everybody introduce yourself real quick so we can get over to, is it over if I call you Mike?
I've been called worse things, so Mike's fine.
Okay. I didn't know if I had to be formal and go, Michael.
That's fine.
All right, so we're going to leave you to last. The reason being is because you're going to go right into what you have to discuss tonight. So, Chris, tell us where we can find you.
Hey guys, I'm Chris Ahern here, also known as Chris the Wheeler. You can find me on Facebook at The Old Cranky Workshop or on YouTube at Chris the Wheeler, where there hopefully will be a new video up soon. I'm in editing stage right now. So watch the site and hope you get a new video up soon.
Looking forward to see that.
So am I.
And then Mr. Dave Gatton.
Thank you, Russ. My name's Dave Gatton. You can find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and all that good stuff under Dave Gatton.
And don't forget, right after my show, Dave's show.
Oh yeah, there's another little show called CNC with Dave. Come hang out with us, and we're going to be talking about Mach 3 settings today. So if you got a CNC or want to get into CNC, you'll want to come by and check that out.
Yep. Great, and it's on Dave Gatton's channel on YouTube, Dave Gatton. And then Mr. Joe Bob. I'm sorry, Donald.
I just want to say, if you turn off that electricity, you won't have to worry about having to light yourself up. Just saying. And you'll save a polar bear.
Yeah, you will.
I'm Donald Matthews, I think, also known as Donald Vlogifies, and Joe Bob. My YouTube is Donald Vlogifies Woodshop. My website is rednecknohow.com, and you can find all my Instagram and Twitter and Facebook there on my YouTube channel. And I think that's everything.
If y'all haven't seen it, I made a little video about making some paint pyramids. You have to go check out my channel. And then Donald, he contacted me and says, hey, I want to do a little parody thing about that. And so he made a little parody video on the. But actually, in his parody video, I have to go about at this real quick, trying to not wanting to waste too much time here. He actually cut out a step that I was making, and I told him, like, darn, why didn't I think of that? I always used to cut them in a triangle and take them to the sander and, flatten them. He just cuts his a little longer, so the point or the flat place is already there. And I'm like, you sorry dog, you. So he went up me on that.
The reason I come about that is because I'm doing this. I was trying to do this with hand tools. I did not want to run any power. And if you tried to sand down that thing by hand, I'd have been there for days.
But as soon as you cut it, I went like, dad, burn it. I mean, it's like light bulb went on my head. Well, all I had to do was move over 1/4 of an inch, and I never had to sand it. So anyway, I appreciate that, and you're lucky I'll let you come back on the show.
All right, thanks, sir.
And then Mr. John Schaffner.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me on, Russ. You can find me on Facebook and under my name, and that's about it for right now.
Great. And then Mr. Russ Meadows.
Yeah, that's Russ Meadows here. Y'all can find me on Facebook under that name. And you can also check out my Facebook page, Rusty Nails with a Z, Woodshop. That'll get it.
Cool. And Shane and Shelley, you already went. So Tommy's in the house, Mr. Tommy G. Good having you. We don't get to see Tommy that often. He works a lot, but it's good to have you tonight.
Thank you, sir.
So tell us where we can find you.
My name's Tommy G. And you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all under Tommy G Workshop, and also my website, www.tommygworkshop.com.
Great. And I'm looking over there. My gracious sponsor, Frank Condon's over there in the chat section. Hi, Frank. So he's really a great guy. We, he gave me the website. He's done all this for me, and I've worked with a lot of his people. I have never met the man until Wednesday. think it was Wednesday. Wednesday, I finally met them. We had a hangout and to talk about things and the website and everything. And first time I ever got to meet a really nice guy. So I appreciate you, Frank, and your company for what you've done and what you are doing for me. So, well, let's get right down to the man of the hour, Mr. Michael Morley and Deacon Woodworks. So I'm going to lock the camera in on you. Now, I've kind of kept it as a surprise to what we're going to talk about tonight. And, Michael, you've only been on YouTube, what, about a year?
Not even, actually. We're still at about 9 months or so.
Yeah, so you've got some, I've watched your videos, you got some really great videos, but one of them that we talked about is really, it really intrigued me, and I was like, wow. And he was like, Michael said, well, I don't really know what to do. And I said, I don't know what to do. This one video is, how many hits have you got on that one video?
I have a total of about 27,000 hits on my YouTube channel, and 22,000 of them came from this video.
I have never hit the mother load like that.
Well, I mean, I wish I learned about monetization beforehand, but yeah, that would have been helpful. But yeah, this video did go woodworking viral, if you will.
Well, tell everybody what the video is.
Sure. So it was actually a two-part video. It was the first part was a SketchUp video around the design aspect of what you're looking at right behind me, my miter saw station build. And the second video, which is the one that actually got the views, was the build. It was a good build. It was a relatively simple build, but what ended up happening throughout the build was a number of learning woodworking lessons that came out of it, things that I was anticipating in SketchUp or was trying to work the design around in one form or fashion. And then when you get into the shop, just like everything else, it goes foobar, and you got to figure out something, and you got to tweak it, and so on and so forth. And that's what I really actually tried to highlight in that video was, I mean, the construction itself is relatively simple. It's a bunch of boxes on top of boxes. But it was those things that I found in the course of building that I think resonated with folks, and I can share some of those with you here tonight.
So that's what basically the show is going to be on tonight. Is Mike's going to go over how he built it, show us some of the components, and actually we even talked about it. He said that after he built it, there was a few things that you didn't like, so you might make some changes to it. So that's what we're going. So you've got it. Go for it.
All right. So if everybody can see behind me here, I'm going to just swivel on my bar stool here. The basic construction is it's basically a box on box. What I used to begin with on the bottom side here, I was kind of in a crunch. I needed to get my shop back up and running. All of a sudden I said, oh, I'm going to redesign the workflow in here and so on and so forth. And I had built custom cabinets in here, and it just wasn't working for me at the point in time in which I wanted to rip it out and do it all over again. And then as soon as I pull all that stuff out and my shop is destroyed in such a manner where I couldn't do any work at all, I get like 3 or 4 client jobs and all of a sudden have to start building some things. So I said, all right, I'm just going to bite the bullet. They're not great. It's not what I normally would do, but I went and bought those Project Source cabinets oak cabinets from Lowe's. They're easy, they're quick, it's put in a countertop, and now all of a sudden I have a workbench. And I knew that I wanted this wall behind me to be a miter saw station. After watching Jay Bates's fully custom one, I was just amazed by what he did with that and was able to incorporate in it. I didn't have the time to do that, so I went a separate route and went with the custom pre-built stuff. The good thing about the bases on here,
can you possibly tilt the camera down a little bit so we can see?
Yeah, let me see if I can do that. So they're just basic Project Source cabinets.
Right.
So this down here, this middle one is actually made for a kitchen sink. So you can see the long run in the middle here. This is where the kitchen sink would go. And I had to obviously modify it and drop it down to where I could get the top of the miter saw level with the top of the countertop that I built on top, which is nothing more than, I think it's 3/4 inch MDF and a 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch hardboard on top, and I just wrapped it with some pine. But this is basically just a kitchen sink cabinet, and then I've got 2 base cabinets on either side. This one over here actually houses my air compressor, little Bostitch 6-gallon air compressor. I ran a switch on the outside of the edge of the cabinet so that I could literally flip it on and off from the outside without having to get into it, and put some panels, some acoustic panels inside to help deaden the noise. So I'm going to try to get this back up in line here. So that's where I started. That's when I built this thing. That's what I started, and I knew this whole station was going to be here, and it kind of worked and evolved into where it's at now. So we started off, built the base, dropped the miter saw station down to keep the top of the countertop level with the top of the saw, and that's where I stopped. All right, and I was able to use it. It was great, but I didn't have a way to make repeatable cuts, and I do for a couple of local bars and breweries and some bottle shops. I make growler crates. So you can buy a 64-ounce glass growler, and I make these crates that allow you to fit 2 in a crate with handles on the side, so that you can carry them home. They don't jostle around in the car. They don't clink to each other, and it's repetitive. It is 12-inch cuts, 7-inch cuts, 6-inch cuts, and it's just a lot of them. And I said, this is getting ridiculous having to measure out each one and then cut them through. I need something more, something in place that allows me to stop and go and just start cutting and just batching things out. And that's when I looked up and I saw Jay's channel. I saw what he did. I said, that's the direction I need to go. And that's what the impetus was to start this project here. So let me kind of walk you through a little bit here. I'm going to try to step back, and hopefully you can all still see me here.
You've got several comments that says, I see the bottle opener right there on the top of the miter saw, so that everybody likes you.
Well, I do appreciate that. That's more function over anything else. That's just nice to have.
Yeah.
And it's not on the side of my bench where I keep knocking into it as I walk by, so it's a little bit out of the way. So this miter saw station is really constructed in 3 components. You've got the first component, which is the lower bottom half, the lower rail system. This has the Craig top track system with tape and stops to it. It allows me to, and I've dialed into the tape, distances on it with the tape on there, so I can repeat cuts, line up things, boom, and I'm exactly at 12 inches, 24 inches, whatever the case may be. And I've got about 50 inches on either side of the saw blade in which I could cut. So I can put a full 8-foot stick of 2x4 or 2x10, whatever it is, up here, and can make cut either way. So that's the first component of it, and we'll get into that in just a second in a little bit more detail. The second component is that I have a bunch of drill bits. It was one of those things where I saw Adam Savage on tested.com talking about his organization skills, and this guy is just, in my opinion, the guy I look up to when it comes to just shop organization and stuff. His Sortimo bolts and nuts and bolts collection that he did a video on inspired, I don't know if you can all see in the corner of the video, but there's a big Harbor Freight vertical. I turn the camera here.
Some people might not know who Adam Savage is, so tell them.
Okay, so Adam Savage was one of the hosts of Mythbusters. Yes. He worked at ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, as a model builder during like Star Wars and those types of things. And he's the host of was the host of Mythbusters before it just finished their series finale this year.
Yeah, he's actually an avid maker also.
Huge maker. And if you haven't checked out tested.com, that's my plug for the night. They're awesome. They do a lot of great things. He's actually he's at Maker Faire right now, so a lot of our woodworking comrades are out in San Francisco. He's there giving some talks. So, well, anyway, he had a big nuts and bolts bin kit that he built out, and I was floored. So I went to Harbor Freight and bought a bunch of their little bins and built this cabinet that really kind of anchored my entire station. As a matter of fact, I think Nick Ferry is in the process of building a very similar one too. So if you haven't checked out Nick Ferry, his video on this may be coming out relatively soon. So that's where the second half of the component of the miter station came into play. Was I have a bunch of Hoyt drill bit dispensers to house everything from fractional, alphabetical, numerical drill bits that gives me every size ranging within those things. And I needed a place to store them. So I said, well, two things. One, I can build a little cubby and a little shelf. It can give me some extra level storage up there. And it gives me a couple cubbies in the middle, which inevitably are going to be for drill bits. I have a cabinet up here, one of these cabinets up here, that's just filled with like drill bits router bits and things like that. And I have no way to organize them. And if you ever get the opportunity, and I invite all of you here to come take a look at my shop, it's a one-car garage. It's 15 feet wide and 20 feet deep, something along those lines. There's not a lot of room. So you have to be really efficient in how you store things and where you put them so that you can get to things easily, you know how things work. Just because you don't have the space to do anything else. If you don't have things tucked away and visible in a way that you can reach, you're constantly searching, you're tripping over things. And for me, having a place where I can store drill bits, router bits, and other necessities up on pegboards, French cleats, and in cubbies was important for me in the workflow in my shop. So that's the second component of this. And then the third component of the miter station build is the dust shroud. Helpful, not perfect, but helpful. As anybody who has a chop saw in their workshop will know, it is probably, outside of the router and the planer, the biggest culprit of dust in a shop. And I needed to, in a small space, so that I'm not personally breathing it or just destroying my shop with dust and dirt, I needed to contain. And so the third component was the dust shroud itself. So that's the overall. There's three kind of phases in which this thing happened, and I'm more than happy to go into each one in detail.
Yeah, go ahead. I think it's interesting when you're talking about the dust collection on that. I am fixing to face that in my shop. I always, before I have a DeWalt. Is that the which DeWalt is that? Is that the compound miter?
Yeah, it's a 715.
I think. Is there one bigger than that?
This is the 12-inch. This is a 12-inch.
Compound, is it compound?
Right? Miter saw. It's not the sliding one. So
okay,
there's one above us that's the sliding one.
Okay, I have the sliding. That brother, or the bigger brother of that,
right.
I have the sliding compound, and I have not got a dust collection system. I usually just saw with it, and then after it gets a little piled up behind against the wall, I come in with the.
Like all that?
Yeah, I come in with a broom and get as much of it as I can up with the broom. Naturally, I'm wearing a dust mask because it'll choke you out. But but I'll come in with let me get back off. I'll come in with the broom, and then I will take the shop vac or whatever, or the big dust collection and suck up the rest of it. But my point is I'm redoing my shop. Repainting everything. I'm like, this really is bad. I have got to do something. So I'm interested to see that part, because I might have to do something like you're doing.
Well, we'll go in reverse order then. So I went 1, 2, 3. We'll go 3, 2, 1 on the detailed explanation.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm like dying to see what you did.
Yeah. So there's two components. So this goes into a topic you brought at the beginning of the conversation, which is its future improvements. One of the things in my shop that I needed to do was, in a small shop, I think the biggest culprit in a small shop, two major culprits, workflow and space. That's just going to be the nature of the beast in a small shop. You only have so much of a footprint, and you have to maximize that as much as possible. The second one, in which you actually can control, is dust. All right? So that's talking about good dust collection. That's talking about air filtration, personal respiration control. Those types of things are absolutely critical in a very small shop. Bigger shops, still equally as important, but you may be able to sneak around a little bit just based on the sheer volume in which your shop takes up.
Let me just sneak in there on that dust collection and respiration thing as far as small shops go, and let me just say, oops, don't expect that on my channel. Just saying.
You know, I preach it, but I'm probably the worst at adhering to my own advice. So I do have my respirator, and it actually has, I'm looking at it now, it has dust on it. That doesn't look good. So
the biggest problem I have is right now I haven't gotten one of the more elaborate face masks. I use those, you know, the painter's mask and all that, and I get it on the goggles and I can't see. And to me, it's more important for me to see what that table's all doing.
I would agree. Keep your fingers away from the moving blades, right?
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the dust shroud. There's a few things that came out of this that I learned. One, the way the saw is set up, no matter what you do in terms of a build or a SketchUp, or even if you're just doing pen and paper situation, having your saw in a vertical upward position where you're going to use it is great, right? And I can pretty much say, okay, there's a motor here, there's the edge here, I need an opening in which that fits in. One problem. Mitered cuts.
Yeah.
How in the world do you know where this thing with a multi-dimensional top swings? And the answer is you don't. You're going to get out here, you're going to cut something and go, oh, it knocks it on this edge, or it knocks it on this edge. God forbid if I wanted to do a bevel cut on this, and I've basically decided not to because of this reason, is that I'd have to tilt it. I would lose this entire half if I did that. So I've dedicated this chop saw to being just angled cuts and not beveled cuts. I'll use the table saw for any bevel cut type of situations that I need to do. So when coming in and building this thing, I had to come in here. I built the basic shroud to go on here, but realized that there was a profile up here that needed to be conformed to the saw itself. And that's the only thing you're going to be able to do is to do it in real time. Being able to swing it around, mark it out, give it a 1/4 of an inch, all that type of thing. So being able to put this bevel, I couldn't begin to fathom and draw that up beforehand. It had to be done in shop. So that was one of the things I learned very quickly, is that I had a great cut list coming into this project, and that cut list literally got burned up in about 5 seconds as soon as I put the top on and realized I've got to swing the saw from left and right. Russ, to your question around dust collection, I'm very much in the same boat right now. I don't have dust collection in here. It literally just blows into the back, and that's all I've got. And for right now, it's not bad, because it contains 95% of the dust that comes from this. So it's built up enough where I've got wings on the sides, and I've got the thing contained where the dust coming off of the rail or out of the back of the saw kind of just blows in here and kind of is contained for the most part. It does kind of spill out into the front, but not enough to worry about it too much. However, it builds up quickly. So I vacuumed it today because I cleaned up the shop just for you guys, by the way. I was like, I cannot have this shop looking this way on this conversation. So I had to vacuum it out, and I went through a 5-gallon bucket on my shop vac. So I have a cyclone separator on my shop vac, and I filled up a 5-gallon bucket today. That's not good, especially when you have a full dust collection system that I have. I shouldn't be having to worry about that. So to your question, Russ, around upgrades and improvements, dust collection is probably the #1 upgrade that I need to do this. And that's going to contain, because I have a Harbor Freight 2-horsepower dust collector with a cyclone separator in a shed in the back of the garage that I've actually piped into the workshop. I maybe can spin the camera around in a few minutes and show you, but I have a separate trunk line that needs to come over and be put into here. I'll run it behind the cabinetry, up through the bottom, and I'll I'll bifurcate the line in two ways. One, I'll put one on the actual back of the saw where normally that little bag goes on. So I'll put a connector hose on that, and then I will actually put just an open port in the bottom of the base of the cabinetry to allow for free flow coming in. So all the airborne dust will have a way to kind of get sucked in that way, as well as the direct saw dust coming off the blade will go through the back of the saw. That's the number one thing. If I can do that, I've pretty much eliminated, at least on this, about 98% of the dust collection issues.
I've got a question for you.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
You talked about that you had a shop vac down below in your cabinet there. Well, can't you just run the hose from your shop vac up to the back side of your miter station there and use that for your dust collection?
I could. Actually, I have my air compressor underneath there. So I don't have a shop vac. But no, yeah, but that's a great point. So there are alternatives, right? So for me, I'm fortunate enough to I built a shed last summer on the back of my garage, and I cut a big hole in the wall between the shed and the garage, literally to pipe in 3-inch PVC pipe from the dust collector. It's the Harbor Freight one that you get for whatever, $150 or whatever it is with the 20% coupon. I bought that, and then I piped in PVC pipe into the garage. I built Jay Bates's blast gates, and I put them to all my machines. And I have one trunk, which is, you can't see from where I'm at, but on the other side I have a trunk and a couple drops down. On this wall behind me, we'll have another trunk coming off of that. And that was where I'll drop in the dust collection down and put it in. But you're absolutely right, though. You don't have to have piped-in dust collection to be safe in the shop, right? To eliminate dust. There are alternatives. I use my shop vac probably, I don't know, 50, 60% of the time, only because I'm using it on sanders. I'm using it to, on the lathe. I'm using it in my sanding station right now. I'll plug it up to my belt sander and stuff just to eliminate things so I can move that around. So if you don't have a dust collector shop vac, plug it up. It's going to take at least a lot of the dust away and help most people out so they're not blowing dust around or more importantly, inhaling it.
I would like to say one thing here is my setup. I'm trying to get me off. Go ahead and say something, Michael, because I don't want it to lock on me. All right, it's not. Mine is set up basically just like yours. I have not only the DeWalt compound with the slider, but I have the stand too. Very nice setup because I was using it in construction. So it's a mobile stand. You set it up, and the wings run out about 4 foot on either side. Awesome setup. So I just hate to throw that stand away. So I'm trying to incorporate that stand into something for mine like yours, where I can use the stand and everything. But I came up with this idea. I saved, for years I was in the construction business, and we did some rehouses. I saved all the AC units. They're big blowers, so to speak, off of them. So what I have an idea is building a cabinet like yours, but expanding it out so I can tilt the saw to the left or to the right as a bevel, but making an overall cabinet. And I'm going to put one of those AC motors underneath there, which can move like 36,000 cubic feet. I mean, an astronomical amount. Yeah, in the back.
Hold on to your beard.
Well, I'm going to have. See, my shop is where I own the property. I'm going to cut a hole in the wall and just have this thing blow the dust out right out into the property. And well, you sit there and laugh, but I mean, I'm not a production shop. So my sawdust is going to be limited. By the time it rains once or twice or the wind blows, most of what I'm going to do, I may use mine 2 or 3 times a week, but not in production, so to speak.
That's not what I'm laughing about. I just got this image in my head of you going and turning on the miter saw, and you got that fan
and
going.
My beard's going to be sitting there doing this in the wind.
I got the same thing. I got Donald. I saw the same thing. I couldn't help it. Yeah.
Well,
36,000 cubic feet per
Well,
minute.
when I say 36,000, I don't think it's 36,000, but the squirrel cage on the larger one that I'm planning on using is probably about 14 inches in diameter, and it's got like a horse and a half or 2-horse motor on it. So it's when I say 36. Yeah, I say 36,000. I might be over exaggerating. It's whatever a 2.5 or 3-ton air conditioner air handler will move for a whole house, so you know it's got to be up there.
You'll be fine in dust collection, I guarantee.
But I'm going to build that box and put it underneath. But I want mine. I'm doing 2 things, and I'm not trying to spoil you.
No, go for it.
I hate. I'm going to build mine as a portable unit underneath my saw, and I'm also going to use my saw as portable because I want to be able to move my. Let's say that I want to do some other kind of project somewhere else. I want to be able to still take my saw down and go somewhere to use it, but be able to bring it back functional in my shop and still have an adequate dust protect. Yeah. So that's what I'm using my 4.
No, it's funny. I actually had the exact same stand, the DeWalt stand that you have, the one that scissors down.
Yes.
And things like
beautiful.
Oh, it's awesome. I used that in one of my very first residential renovation projects that I did, and it was great. When I moved to the new house that I'm in now and had a dedicated garage for a workshop, I no longer needed it, so I sold it to my neighbor, which helped pay for the base cabinet in which this thing sits on now. But to your point, though, being able to have mobile capability is important. And with the scissor thing, the only big thing that you need to, I would think about, and maybe you've already thought about it, is the fact that it sits on kind of a real airy platform, meaning that there's the wings that come out and stuff, and it really only sits on a small base, is how to get enough seal or enough coverage around the saw for the bevels and things like that. But if you're going to put a jet engine on the bottom of that thing, I don't think you're going to have to worry about much sealing. That will just suck everything out, so you should be fine.
My point exactly. I was thinking like how I'm going to seal, or how I'm going to collect. I want to collect at least. My point is I need to collect at least 75 to 80% dust in order to make this thing efficient enough to be able to use what I wanted to use. And I figured I've got 4 of these fans. And actually, this one is the biggest of the 4 of them, and I'm thinking like myself, if this one doesn't do it, I don't know what will. So.
Yeah, no, I think you'll be good to go. But yeah, I think that in all honesty, for me in my shop, I do use the chop saw a lot. It's quick, it's convenient, it's a great way to dimensionalize quickly lumber. So if you're building anything where you're going through the jointing and the planing process and things like that, you kind of have to rough dimensionalize the lumber. And for me, the chop saw is the quickest and easiest way to do it. I have a good cut capacity, and it's all good. So for me, I think the biggest upgrade is going to be dust collection, as we talked about, and how to pull it in. The second thing with the dust collection for me, and I kind of joked around with Russ just a few minutes ago, is that I get this. I get raw scraps of just cutoffs that I'm like, I'll throw it back there and I'll get it later, right? It's awful. I've got junk in there that I don't even know what to do with, right? And then all of a sudden it gets to the point where you're like, oh, I need to make an angle, and you swing it around and you're knocking on wood and you got to clear it out so you can move it to the angle you need. I got to get rid of that. It's an annoyance to me. It slows things down. And I think the one thing I'm going to do is turn one of the base cabinets here into almost kind of one of those like recycling pull-out drawers that maybe some people have in their kitchens, where you pull it out and there's a basket down there. I'm going to do, I think, a similar thing and build a drawer for one of these things where I can pull it out and dump those cut-off pieces into that drawer. I think it will save me a whole lot of time with cleanup.
Cut that hole that Shane was talking about and put the trash can under there just so you can.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a habit to drop it back there, so you got the hole there. It's going to go in the trash.
That's actually a good idea. I hadn't thought about putting it actually in the back of the thing. That'd be an interesting solution to see how that works.
That stand's high enough. I bought a 35-gallon garbage can that slides right underneath my stand, because the stand's all open underneath mine.
Mm-hmm.
what I do is whatever I cut off, I just throw it in that 35-gallon garbage can. When the garbage can gets full, I pull it out, take it out there, and that's when I go, all right, you're going in the garbage can, you're going in the scrap bin, you're going in the garbage can, you're going in the scrap bin. And all the time I'm doing that, I'm hearing the garbage can going, help me, help me. Because they don't want to be thrown away.
Yeah, I know. I have the hard I have the same problem where you don't want to throw away. Where I think, not to quote Norm Abrams here, but I think we're all a little bit of new Yankees, right? We want to save every piece that we possibly can because there's always a solution which is going to require this length of wood or something, and we want to keep it. I've come to a point when it comes to plywood, chunk it.
Yeah.
I don't even want to deal with that. But when we're talking about sapele, maple, walnut, all those things, man, all I need is a 3/4 by 3/4 inch piece by about 3.5 inches long, and I got a pen blank.
Yeah.
So that's the way I view the world on that.
Yeah,
so,
I'm just talking about what goes in the scrap bin is the pine, the plywood and stuff like that. Anything else, I usually do keep for the smaller ones, but it's still so hard for me to part with it.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So for me, dust collection is a big thing. Cut-off piece removal is another big thing. I think that's probably going to be the biggest upgrade. The bottle opener was already an upgrade that I did, so I won't go into that, but a very important one, absolutely. The other thing is, I think there's something more that can be done up here in terms of storage. This is a really empty space right up here, and I've got flat space here. I think I can do some other cool things here, whether it's just something as simple as a pencil holder. Or I did put a magnet over on the side of it to where I can hold a tape measure, which is always helpful because you always are misplacing tape measures in the shop. So for me, doing something maybe here to give me a little bit more functional activity where I can go, got it. That helps in my workflow a little bit.
Now, real quick, now you built all that stuff, the drawers to your left and to in other words, they're not modular units. You built those, right? Or what are those?
Yeah. So the second level of this miter station is kind of this cubby unit, is the way I refer to it. The gray boxes here are actually pull-out drawers that house all my drill bits. So these are made by a company called Hoyt. It's H-U-O-T. If you go to my website, deaconwoodworks.com, there's a section in there called Tools, and I list out which ones I have in my shop. But it houses all the drill bits that I have. And so I built this secondary level cubby system specifically around these. I have 3 of them. There are 2 on this side and 1 over here on my left side that I have all my drill bits. And it was a way for me to get some level. I could have built them vertically, and it had taken me basically up to the top of the cabinetry here. I said that loses a lot of pegboard space for me. I'm going to go horizontal. But I couldn't get all 3 on one side, so I had to spread them out. So that's why I have these little cubbies in the middle, which right now are just junk filled of random bolts and stuff I throw in there. But that's where my router bits are planning on going. I'm going to build a couple small little boxes that have a dado in the middle of the box, 1/4, 1/2 inch drill out holes where I can put the router bits in. So if I need, 1/4, or if I maybe make a cubby that's roundover bits and it has all my 1/2 and 1/4 inch roundovers, I know I go to that one. Or if I need OG bits, I'm going to go over here. Or if I need flush cut bits, I go to that one. But I've got 4 cubby areas in which I can build, and that's where I'm in the process now of trying to figure out which ones do I use on a regular basis, which ones are more specialty, like I have a cope and stick bit set. That's great, but I'm not making a lot of custom door panels at this moment. I don't go to it every day. That's where I'm looking to have these things to be somewhat modular, to where I can adapt my workflow in the shop appropriately and build things that work for me. So that's the cubby system right there, and pretty straightforward there.
What on your wings on each side? How long are those? In other words, from your center of your blade to your left or to your right, what kind of distance do we have there?
No, that's a good question. So right now, my miter saw is in the middle of the cabinetry. So that means I've got equitable distance on either side, and it's 53 inches on one side and 54 on the other to the end of the cabinetry. On the right, on this side, I have the ability, in the way the cabinetry is built, I can throw a piece of stick all the way out the garage door, and I have infinite length out that side.
Wow.
So I can have a 16-foot 2x10, and I need to take off 2 inches on the right-hand side. I can throw it all the way out there and take off 2 inches on the right and not have to worry about it.
That's nice. And
on
what
this
about,
side?
Yeah, that side.
Yeah, on this side, I've got a little bit of a different situation. I'll spin the camera here to see if you can see this here. On this side here, I've got about 54 inches this way, but I run straight into my drill press, and I run straight into another cabinet, which is my dust collection or dust sanding station, and then the back of the garage.
Right.
So I'm really only looking at about 2 or 3 feet if I raise the bed of my drill press up. I can kind of sneak things under a little bit, but I've only got about 3, maybe 3.5 feet.
Yeah, but still, you're looking at probably 8 foot. That side.
So I could put it. I can put an 8-foot stick of like a 2x4, 8-foot stick of 2x4 on this side and cut off 2 or 3 inches if I needed to.
That's still
not bad. Yeah, it works. It works. When I first designed it, I was really concerned that I was not going to have that flexibility that I needed.
Yeah. No, really
Man,
nice.
I got a question for you. Now, I don't know if you own your house or not, but if for some reason you've got to move, now, did you build that to where that you can actually take it apart and take it with you, or is it going to be there for good?
So I do own my home here, and that's actually kind of a question I've struggled with a little bit, is around portability. You know, not everybody's going to want to buy a house with a full workshop in it, right? And more importantly, I don't necessarily want to go out and spend the money I did on this to rebuild it in another location. The upper cabinets are on French cleat. I can pull those things off in a heartbeat. The base cabinets are literally just screwed into the studs of the outside wall of the garage and sit on top of a 2x4 base, pressure-treated 2x4 base on top of the concrete. In theory, I could pull it out. There are things that I may lose in the process. I may lose the shroud. I may lose a couple of the cubbies. I may lose some things in terms of the deconstruction. But I'd get 90% of it back out if I wanted to take it with me. Or better yet, if I grew and needed to get a bigger shop, what do I do with this? I would like to move it, right? Similar situation. So it doesn't have to be moving the house, maybe moving to a bigger shop. I could pull it out. I've come to a point in my own life to say, if this stays, I've got my money out of it. I've used it enough that if it stayed, I'm not going to be heartbroken by it. But I could, in theory, pull it out with about 8 screws, pull it out, and take it wherever I wanted to go.
That's good. I like that.
We only got a few more minutes. Could you show us? I know you got T-tracks along the top of that.
Yeah.
Can you move your camera around and show us just a little bit of how you put this T-track system in there?
Yeah. Let me see if I can pull this around here effectively without losing connectivity and things. All right. So I'm going to try to see where I'm at here. All right. So this is a standard top track Craig system. So it is it's a blue rail. And by the way, here's another upgrade. I have to glue this back in, so I can actually pull it out for you. This is a standard top track T-track system by Craig. If you all can see that?
Yeah, we see it.
Okay. I built it in such a manner where it slides in and it butts up, and we get a good measurement from the corner here to the rail system. So I can take this thing here and dial it in straight into 2 feet, lock it down, and cut 2 feet repeatedly on the right side of the stick. I also have on the left side the exact same thing. So it gives me adjustability, it gives me consistency and repeatability that I need for some batch things that I want to do. And the great thing about this Craig system is that, you know, it flips up out of the way when I'm just making stupid rough cuts and don't need anything beyond that.
I like that a lot.
I do too, and one of the things that I realized when I built this, and I'm going to move the camera back here, so apologize for any weird movements.
That's all right. We'll just get some
get everybody dizzy. The Craig system is great. I really do like it. It's quick, it's convenient, but in my opinion, it's too bloody expensive. It's $50 for a 4-foot length of rail.
Wow.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and I didn't realize that when I went into this. You know, I saw a couple people build some with some Craig jigs, and I was like, oh, that's great. I'd love to do that. It's super convenient. And then it was one of those things where I got like a gift card to Amazon for my birthday or something like that, and I was like, oh, great, I'm going to do this project now. And I get in there, and my gift certificate was gone by buying 2 of these rails. Because they're about 4 feet in length, or 3.5. I had to cut some off. They're super expensive. Jay Bates did his where he used just basic T-track or overlapping 3/4 inch plywood to build himself a T-track, and that's what he used. Super quick, super easy, and ridiculously inexpensive compared to this. If I were to do it again, I'd overhaul this thing a little differently and build Jay's system on top of this because of the expense issue. It was not worth the money in my opinion. It's nice, but definitely not worth the money in the long run.
Yeah, that's a lot. I didn't think it was that expensive, but when you told me, I was like, whoa, crap.
Yeah, I mean, it's like $35 to $50 depending on where you go. I mean, if you go to Woodcraft, they're going to charge you a premium on it. If you go to Amazon, it's a little less. But yeah, I definitely do it differently.
That's where I run into trouble at, because I see the price on stuff like that, and I'm like, nope, and I never get around to doing it.
Yeah, I totally agree, and it was literally, I literally bought those with like a birthday present, gift card kind of situation. That's the reason why I did it. I think there are ways that you can always, I think the great thing about the maker community is there's a number of great people out there who have done things similarly, right, or have built or have ideas around what you're looking for. And they have found creative, ingenious solutions that don't necessarily cost a lot of money, and that YouTube has been a great outlet for all of us to find those people, to be able to say, I want to build a miter stand, I want to build this, I want to build that, but I'm not going to go spend $200 on Top Track in order to make that happen. I can't afford it, and I don't want to. And I think that's what makes our community just like awesome, is because there are guys out there who are doing that. They're building it, and they're sharing what they've learned with others, and that's just what makes it special for me to be a part of the whole community as a whole. And so take my advice. If you want to build it on the cheap, don't buy the Craig stuff, unless they sponsor you, and then take them for all they're worth.
You know, I've got
Russ,
I lost that question there.
I know. Russ, I'm sorry. You're muted.
All right, am I back?
Yes, you're back.
Okay. I was saying that I have a similar situation in my shop. I don't have that much room either. But my shop is 20 feet long, and I built a workbench on one side 16 foot long. And when I did this, I built it not doing woodworking, because I haven't been doing woodworking that long. But I built it and inset my chop saw like yours. It was a 10-inch, and it flushed just like that. And I had to retrofit it when I put the 12-inch in, and to make it right. But I got it all leveled out and stuff, and it looks like that. But I never thought about doing the Craig, the tracks and stuff for repeated cuts at a specific length. And that just gave me food for thought because I still got plenty of room to
At 16
put
feet,
something
you
on
sure
there to
do.
do that with. And,
At 16
neat.
feet,
I
you
like
sure do. Yeah. Again, I mean, for me, the ability to have storage above was important. I encourage everybody to go take a look at Jay Bates's build because it's really an impressive build. I was just blown away by his work. But he built drawers all the way up. So if you take the front of this of the dust shroud and go straight up, he built his all the way up with drawers coming out and integrated the stop block system to the left of his blade, and he's only got to the left of his because it's offset. He built it into the front of that whole thing. They're easy. There's different ways you can solve this problem. For me, it was important to have some different shelves or different levels in which to work on. I use a lot of not so much the lower shelf, which is only about 5.5 inches wide. I use the upper shelf up here to do a number of things, whether it's chiseling out things or putting little pieces and parts together of something I took apart and need to put back together. I use those areas a little bit, so it was nice to have about a good 10 to 11 inches depth behind there. And then up above, it's just nice to have a place to store your miscellaneous junk that has a tendency to accumulate in a shop, and be able to do that. So for me, levels was important. Jay, he went vertical with drawer systems. But yeah, I mean, take a look. I would bet that there's a way you can make this top track system without using top track. Right. I'm just using a T slot kind of situation. I think I
was actually sitting here thinking about running a groove in a 2x4 or
there you go,
and just dropping some a metal strip down there or something.
There you go. I mean, you could just buy some cheap miter gauge slot aluminum track, for like $1 a foot or whatever it is. You can get it probably on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
You just drop in a 3/4 inch groove with a router down a 2x4 or whatever you've got. Drop that in, and now you've got a quarter 20 bolt that can float in between, and you can rig up something with a stop system on that. Absolutely.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Absolutely, good point, Donald. That's good.
What I did with mine is I used 3/4 Baltic birch plywood and ran a groove down through there, and then faced it off with tempered hardboard.
Oh yeah.
Form the groove. It works pretty darn good.
Yeah. I love the hardboard. John, I love the tempered hardboard. I use that as the countertop for all my benches. I love it. It's great because it's it's inexpensive, and if it gets dinged up or whatever, pull it off because you just put it in with some 23 gauge brad nails, just pin it down, and when it gets all torn up and nasty, rip it off and put a new one down.
Well, guys, we're rocking down on the last few. Michael, thank you very much.
You're more than welcome. I'm glad to be here. And Russ, thanks for inviting me here. It's been a lot of fun. It's nice to always chat with other folks who have like minds and want to learn and talk about things that you've done. And I do appreciate you inviting me out here to talk about my miter station.
You're more than welcome because when I saw the video and then now you sitting there and explaining it, it's and I know you've just gotten started, so a lot of people haven't seen your video. And I would like to say this: he only touched a little bit on tonight, and if you saw what you like, trust me, there's a lot more in his video, how he did it on SketchUp, and then how the actual build, and then you've got the you added to it the stop blocks or whatever a while back. So there's a third video, right?
No, there's just the two, but yeah,
okay.
the stop, yeah, but yeah.
Okay. So yeah, go watch the videos, and then you will see, and it's awesome. So we got one thing. You're going to be broken in tonight, like the rest of everybody else. We have what we call Woodshop Confessions, and what that is everybody in their shops does something boneheaded that afterwards they go, "Why in the heck did I do that?" Some of them result in injury, like a few of us has done, and others don't. But so what's your boneheaded confession tonight?
My boneheaded confession? My boneheaded confession is that I bought a really expensive piece of sapele, 6/4 by 16 inches by 11 feet long. It was a big stick, a big slab, and I was going to use this to build for my father's 65th birthday present, which was a whiskey box. And as a matter of fact, my camera's sitting on it. It's that big of a bonehead. I'll show you. Dovetails with massive gaps, the tops with massive gaps. And here I bought all this wood, spent all this time to try to get it to where I thought it was going to be great. And I called my dad and said, Dad, I'll get it to you by Christmas. That's my bonehead of the year.
Sawdust and wood glue.
Yeah. Dude, these things are literally 3/16 of an inch wide. I am not sawdusting that thing at all.
Acclimate.
Yeah, that was yeah, that's pretty boneheaded.
Yeah, that total bonehead.
What you do is you trim out the rest of the holes to match the other gaps and all that, and then you put your sawdust and glue in there and call it
an inlay.
Yeah, inlaid dovetail.
I like that.
All right, guys. I'm trying to get out of here. The reason is I'd like to go over. Everybody, I told you all earlier about Dave's show. We want to go over. Some of us, I've been invited over there, and he's doing some Mach 3 talk. So I want to go over there and watch that Mach 3 talk. So I appreciate everybody being on here. Let's do one thing before we forget it. If y'all haven't forgot, we're going to give away this. And how we're going to give away this is, let me screen share. Y'all tell me if y'all can see my screen. Can y'all see my screen?
Yep.
All right. The key word is wood. I want in the subject line of your email to be 21st May 2016 giveaway. Email it to contest@simplywoodencreations.com. The giveaway closes at 10 p.m. Sunday night, May 22nd, which is tomorrow night at 10 p.m. So the keyword, send me an email with the keyword in it and the subject line being 21st May 2016 giveaway, so that way I know what to delete. After the giveaway is over with, I can go through and mass delete all those and send it to contest@simplywoodencreations.com. Everybody that sends me an email, that's the reason we're not closing it until Sunday night at 10 p.m. I know that people watch my show, will get up in the morning and watch my show that can't watch it tonight, so I'm giving them the opportunity to be able to enter this, and I will randomly choose out of all those entries, and I will sometime Monday during the day, Monday, post on my website and on Facebook, and also whoever wins, I will email them personally and tell them they won, but who the winner is. If you go to my website, you will go to my weekly show page. I do not have a giveaway page set up as of yet. I tried to set it up, and I'm not that good, so I'm going to have to get with my my web guys and let them do it. But anyway, if you go to my web page, I can do that real quick since y'all are still watching. Let's see if I can get this done. If you go to my webpage and you go to my weekly show, you see this area was right here that says "See you Saturday, Russ." See you Saturday. My name is Russ. I will put the winner right there, and also on Facebook, and then also whoever wins, I will also. Let's stop sharing this. See if I can get back to you guys. And there I am. So send me the email, and somebody will walk away with this. I will ship it to you. So, and then we're gonna. This is the 3 Saturdays of May. So next week we will be giving away something else. So I appreciate everybody being here. Thanks for all y'all watching over there. I appreciate it. We've had Katie Dodson, Donna Presley, Wacky Woodworks, Michael B., Odessa Woodworking. We've had a bunch of guys over there watching us tonight, and I really appreciate you being there and watching us. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Donald. Thank you, John, Shane, and Shelley. Thank you for being here. I know Dave Gatton was here, and he had his own show. He had to go out, and so Russ Meadows was here, and Tommy G was here. So thank y'all, everyone. And again, thank you, Michael. Thank you very much.
you.
Great show. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Russ. Much appreciated.
Yeah, well, that's much appreciated for you being here, too. I know it takes a little bit of effort for anybody that asks to be a guest to set this up and get on here, so I appreciate that very much.
Nice to talk to another North Carolina woodworker. Me and the other Mike need to get together sometime.
Hey, you guys are more than welcome to come up to the shop and let's make something when we're up here, huh?
I don't know if I would meet Donald. That Joe Bob might be the guy that you want to meet, though.
At least meet him in public.
Donald?
In public places?
I thought Donald always done with pins.
Pens?
You might want to meet me, but you might not want to admit it.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to shut down here. Thanks again, Michael, and everybody here. I really appreciate it, and God bless to all you. And just one more thing. Just give me sawdust, lots of sawdust, all around me and everywhere. I like it flying all around my shop and even in my beard and hair. Good night. God bless. Have a good day.
All right, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.